Welcome back. I'm Vincent Perryman, and you're watching Legalese. Joining us on our show is attorney Maureen T. Holland of Holland & Associates, PLLC. We are discussing holistic law. Maureen, before the break, we basically went through how all of this benefits the client and all, but I guess when we got a little bit into the different tools and areas of law that are under this holistic umbrella, you hear now of collaborative divorce and you've got mediations, arbitration, all of this. What all falls under the umbrella of holistic law?
I define holistic law as that umbrella of changing the way you practice law so that it is more civil, more needs-based. Some people would call it more conscious practice of law. And depending on what area of practice you're in, that is, depending if you're a divorce lawyer, one of the areas that incorporates those principles is known as collaborative law. So collaborative law is a term that we keep hearing, and in fact in Memphis we have a Memphis Collaborative Alliance, which is an organization that has not just attorneys in it, but others who are impacted by divorce or family law matters. So you may have mental health professionals who are in that organization. You'll have financial planners who are in that organization. But that area, that category called collaborative law, is a way of practicing law holistically, where the model is more of a community problem-solving model. So rather than just one lawyer represents the one spouse and another lawyer represents the other spouse, and they go at it in a sort of combative way. That's sort of more traditionally what we've been seeing. Well, this style of holistic practice, known as collaborative law, looks at everyone working together as a team rather than competing and fighting. So if you look at the lawyers as team members and each of the litigants as or potential litigants as team members and the family as a team, you have a completely different model. And so instead of having competing professionals, one side will get a mental health professional to say the other side's not mentally well. In this team model, you have one mental health professional instead of competing ones, and they all work together to help the unit progress through this difficult time. Very different model than fighting in the court. And the collaborative model is also designed to be outside the court initially. So it relies heavily on mediation as a method of problem solving, which means you bring in an independent person who assists both of the parties and this team now, who assists them in trying to solve the more finer details of a divorce.
It almost seems like with collaborative law, you're a little more invested in the whole process as the client and the attorney as well, from the standpoint of, the sterileness of a courtroom sort of battle where this side doesn't talk to this side. You've got much more communication with this.
Right. This is designed to be a communication model to solve the problem instead of just to fight. And absolutely, to solve problems, it requires more communication. If you're just fighting, it's pretty easy to fight if you really don't know what the other side needs and if you don't know what the other side wants. And if you keep yourself at distance or an arm's distance from that, then you can emotionally fight all the time. But if you start finding out what does this person really need, and you look at the humanity of all the people involved, it is a much more dialogue-based, communication-based way of solving, in this case, divorce issues. One of the other aspects of collaborative law that is specific to collaborative law is that the lawyers and the parties agree not to try the case in court. That if you are going through a divorce and you want to actually fight, then you're going to have to hire another set of lawyers to fight. These lawyers won't fight. These lawyers will problem solve. And that is a very different model to legal problem solving.
Yeah, well, and the other thing with that model, I think it takes away, and I haven't seen any statistics on this, but this is my guess, that it takes away some of the post-divorce actions that we see so much where, somebody got the house, they're not paying for it, but both are still on the lending documents, or just those sort of issues? Because here you've worked out all of, it would seem that you've worked out all, if not more, of the anger and emotions as well.
Yeah, I think, the joke is that, if the parties have a house and they're fighting over it in the divorce, it's the lawyer that gets the house. Mm-hmm. And this is getting away from that so the parties can decide how to distribute their assets that are to the benefit of the unit. A very different approach. And what we've seen in other jurisdictions and what we're starting to see in Memphis is that those type of problem solvings are less expensive. The parties are not set up to be adversarial initially, so as the process evolves, they're more cooperative, so you're not getting all those post-trial motions, those post-trial proceedings that are very expensive, and again, are only designed to be very adversarial.
Well, and from my perspective of doing tax and things like that, it's useful to be able to have all of those people in the same room, take care of the joint tax issues, so we're not trying to do that on the backside, and then I can't get both parties to agree on a tax professional to talk with one voice to the IRS. Right,
and they don't want to talk to each other, let alone a professional, and under a sort of more traditional model. And this is moving away from those traditional adversarial models into a less adversarial practice. So whether it's collaborative law, which again you have this umbrella of holistic law, if you're working in the area of criminal law, the approach might be known as restorative justice. And restorative justice is an approach to criminal problem solving where instead of just incarcerating people, again, they look at a community problem solving model. So we see this in Memphis, for instance, in the drug courts. If someone has an initial arrest in connection with a drug-related crime, obviously depending on the severity of that crime, they might be moved into a community problem-solving model. How can we help this person not redo this type of crime? And can we bring in people that this person relies on, this person values? Can we bring in the people who were impacted by the crime to sit down and have a dialogue and figure out a solution?
Okay. When we return from our break, we'll talk more with attorney Maureen T. Holland about holistic law. Please stay with us.